They couldn't find any drugs. They're getting more and more angry. This translator shows up and she says, just tell them where the drugs are and this will all go away. And I'm like, are you really a non-biased translator? Like, come on. And then they look at my dog and they're so angry and they said, who's here to take care of your dog? And I go, well, nobody's here. They go, we're going to keep you here in jail and your dog's going to die because no one's here to take care of your dog. So we'll keep you in jail as long as it takes, even until your dog dies.
One day, Ken, an American raised in poverty and surrounded by addiction, went from living a fantasy life in South Korea filled with money, fame, and women to being in prison and losing everything. Once the dust had settled, Ken was left with nothing but self-pity and thoughts of suicide. Ken knew something needed to change. How did he rise to fame in a foreign country, and what did he do to raise himself out of the pits of despair? You don't want to miss a second of this episode.
First of all, my goal with this episode, right from the get-go, and with any appearances that I make anywhere, any speaking engagements or anything, is I want people to get practical tools to help them eliminate suffering, clear trauma, and live out their highest purpose, right? And I do mean really, really practical tools, right? I have gone through a massive, as you'll see in my story, a massive spiritual awakening, having gone from, at that point in my life, an antinatalist, atheist, extremely depressed, to having this profound
antinatalist?
Yeah, that is somebody, it's a group of people who believe that it is wrong, morally unacceptable to have children. So, because we know life is suffering, we know it's a shit show. So why are we bringing people into this against their will? They didn't have any say into it. And then we're just plopping them in here like, hey, good luck, right? And so that's what antinatalists believe. And I was in that category. I was in that camp until my awakening. And my goal is to help people truly, with really practical steps. And I mean this, and these are not tools and things that people talk about of how to remove trauma and how to clear things out of their system, right? And how to find your actual purpose, how to connect with your higher self, right? Like you'll read these spiritual books and you read even psychology books and all that, and they'll have ways to cope with life, but none of them gives you the deep meaning of life and how to actually connect with that part of you that was never born and never dies and is your true essence. And I truly do mean how to eliminate or at least minimize suffering in life. I mean, I went through a lot of suffering, a lot, and I can attest that these tools and tactics work, and they're just not talked about in both the spiritual and non-spiritual realms. So that is what I'm here to do. I just like to give that upfront to people who just tuned in, and yeah, I'll just go ahead and jump right into it.
Yeah. What was your suffering?
Yeah, so the suffering part comes a little bit later in the story. So I'll start with the beginning. I started off suffering. I was a very fearful kid. I was born in a heroin-addicted part of the world, in Kentucky, a small rural town. And I was extremely Catholic. I was like the most Catholic kid in this poverty-enriched part of the world. And I was just mostly extremely afraid. I was the most afraid kid probably on planet Earth. I was afraid that we were going to lose all of our money. I was afraid of all the bullies at school because I was a mute. I wasn't talking a lot. Because I was so afraid that my words were going to cause a sin and send me to hell. So I didn't talk a lot. And so I was bullied relentlessly. In the schools I went to were very low performing schools filled with kids from broken homes. And I was the lowest kid that everyone picked on. So suffering was really extreme. I was just afraid all the time. Eventually I grew up, still carrying a lot of those fears innately inside of me. And I went on to, I went to college and studied mathematics and business. And then I went on to graduate school to become a news reporter. So I studied journalism, and I was a news reporter for 3 years. at various news organizations across America. And I was pretty traumatized by that. Like, I saw things that, let's just say, I have so much respect for first responders because I was seeing what they were seeing and I had access to that. And I don't know how they do that for I don't even know how they do it for 6 months, let alone 10, 20, 30 years of their life, right? I couldn't look at it anymore, right? There was two things that happened that I won't go into because I don't want to depress people, but it was so horrific. I said, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. You're not paying me enough as a news reporter, right? And then I was on Facebook and I saw a friend who had posted, she was traveling the world. She was one of the few people from my hometown that left my hometown, like me. I messaged her. I said, how are you traveling the world right now? What do you do? She said, I teach English in South Korea and I take breaks and I just travel and I go back and teach and then I travel. I said, that sounds fantastic. So I quit my job as a reporter. I booked a one-way flight to Korea and I just took random jobs. I would teach English to like young kids, the local gym. Here's the thing about being like a white person over in Korea is, especially if you look a certain way, and you got that look that they like, that they kind of want. I want you to be the face of my local gym. So they'll give you free membership or they'll pay you to take some pictures. And now you're the white face of their gym just for no reason at all. And that happened all the time. And eventually, I'm traveling the world and I'm like really living a pretty good life. I was actually starting to become pretty happy. Forgot about all my Christian roots. I was nothing. I was just agnostic. Actually, I was just indifferent at that point in my life. Had no therapy. Just buried it all with booze because Korea is like one of the most addicted countries for alcohol in the entire world. And it's just part of the society. And I was full-fledged into that. I also had sex addiction during my time there because I had access. And, Korean women just so happen to love American men, a lot of them. And I used that to my full advantage, let's just say.
And Canadian men?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Any foreigner. Yeah. Are you writing that down? It's
Okay,
like, move to Korea.
Whoops, this is North Korea. What the hell have I done?
Oh, what have you done? Oh, man. Yeah, wrong country. Although I have been there. I have been to North Korea. I visited it for a few days. And that was a whole nother level of odd. So one day, this guy comes up to me. Okay, I've probably been there for like a year and a half or so. And there's this short Swedish guy at a bar, and he comes up to me, and he's just this bubbly guy. Looks like Humpty Dumpty. He's like super short and bald, and just real bubbly. And he says, "Hey man, who are you?" I go, "My name's Ken. Who are you?" He goes, "My name's Pear." Like his name's Pear, and he looks like a pear. It was like this character in a cartoon
With a Swedish accent.
It was a Swedish accent. Yeah, it was a Swedish accent. So it just added that level to it, right? And he said, "Are you an actor by any chance?" I said, "No, I'm not an actor. I used to be a news reporter." And then he said, "Do you want to be an actor?" I go, "Well, who's asking?" And he goes, "Well, I run a casting agency here. I cast foreigners into Korean K-pop music videos, Korean dramas, Korean movies, TV shows, reality shows. I'm the guy that casts people into those, and I think you got the look." I go, "But I don't have any experience." He goes, and he starts laughing. He spit out his drink. He was laughing so hard. He goes, you don't need acting experience over here. Like, you just got to have the look. Like, the bar is really low. And then, just try it out. We got a movie filming next week. It's called No Breathing. It's a swimming movie. And we need someone who's fit, who can swim. Can you do that? And I said, yeah. He goes, okay. So I sent him some shirtless
Did you
photos.
have to speak Korean?
At that point, I could not. Eventually, I could speak it better, yeah. But they just needed Americans speaking in English, right?
Gotcha.
In case the character in the movie was like competing internationally, they keep it authentic, right? And so I did that, filmed for a week. I was just yelling at this guy. That's all I did was swim and yell at this guy and taunt him. And in their movies, right, the Koreans win, right? Like us, we lose in their movies, right? Like, so you'll have like these tiny Korean guys just beating the crap out of like really big Americans, right? Like they don't lose in their movies, right? It's the opposite over there, right? Man, when I was on set, remember I'm this guy from a small town, heroin addicted, a former mute, didn't talk kid super shy, to now being on a movie set. And Koreans are very, they give a lot of adoration, like, oh, right, like, oh, you're so handsome, oh, you're so good, oh, so perfect, right? That's just what they do. If you speak one line of Korean, if you just say hello, annyeonghaseyo, if you just say that to a lot of Koreans, they go, oh, your Korean is so good, like that. It's just the bar is like, and it just inflates your ego out of control, right? It just does. Their language is it has to be honorific, so that's why they ask you what age you are, is because they want to know how to address you. If you're older than them, they have to send respect with different endings to their verbs and
Like
adjuncts. And so,
haseo.
yeah, I say oh, right, yo, yeah. Otherwise, if it's informal, it'll be like anyang, right? Built into their systems, honorific system, and then put on top of that, if you're a white person that looks a certain way, then you are just, let's just say there's a lot of foreigners that go over there, whether they're military men or English teachers. That's usually what it is, military men and English teachers. A lot of them stay because they're like, this is so much better than anywhere else I've been. Like, everyone loves me for no reason, right? And they just stay. It's like this golden little paradise. If you can learn Korean as a foreigner and live there, like you live a good life. And so after being on movie set and being adored, I was like, this is it. I'm quitting everything. I'm going all in on this. And I saw the competition. Okay. And here was my competition. One of my first roles was on this set for the longest running TV show in Korean history. It's called NBC Surprise. Okay. And so what it is they do four events that happen throughout history where they'll reenact it, right? And then they'll have like just clips from that moment in history and audio layover, right? But they need foreigners to act out those characters, right? So, for example, and they're usually surprising stories that are not normal, right? So, like the dingo ate my baby story. Okay, so Koreans don't know about that story. It's common in our culture, but not in theirs, right? And so they'll tell that story. It's one of 4 stories in 1 hour, and I was the father of the dingo, or not of the dingo, of the baby.
A baby ate my dingo.
The baby ate my dingo. That would be the truly surprising story, wouldn't it? Oh, man, and so then I became the main actor on that show. Okay, I was every one of the Beatles at least once. I was a Nazi like 25 times. I was Jesus Christ. I was King Nebuchadnezzar. I was like every character. I was a gay Marlon Brando. Okay, and so my first time on set, there was this guy who he was this guy. It's really hard to cast for that show, especially if you have like a black guy, right? If you need African American to play like Jackie Robinson for the Jackie Robinson story, there's only 2 kinds of people that live over in Korea as a foreigner, and that is like English teachers and military guys, and they can't be there at 6:00 in the morning every Thursday to film because they got other contracts, right? So it's really hard to find. And so it's like whatever black guy that the producer could find. And I mean any black guy. And so they found this one guy that was from Uganda, okay? And I'm on set. I'm preparing my lines. This is my big break. This is it. I'm going to make it. And it's a scene about how President Obama and Vice President Joe Biden were deciding to invade, how to find Osama bin Laden and shoot him. They just found out the intel, right? And that's the story, okay? And it was this guy from Uganda playing Barack Obama, and it was this like 400-pound Russian man playing Joe Biden. They look nothing like them, okay? It's nothing like them, okay? And I remember the scene. He goes, Obama says, "Hey, what do you think we should do about this Osama bin Laden?" Right? This is supposed to be Obama, right? And the Russian guy says, "I think that we should invade Pakistan. We have found his location." Right? And they go, cut. And they go, perfect. Moving on. I go, perfect. Oh my God. I am going to crush it here. Like, this is going to be so easy. Like, what? I'm going to be so famous, right? That's kind of how it turned out. Like, I was like, this is it. Like, so I quit everything. It wasn't easy. I had to network a lot, right? I was broke as a joke. I was living in a closet. It was basically a closet. They call them goshiwons, for like 4 months because it was only $70 a week because I wasn't getting that many roles in the beginning. And also you don't sign contracts over there. Everything's under the table. So no royalties, everything under the table. And in America, the agencies, like the acting agencies, like you sign with one agency and you get one agent and they take 10%, right? Over there, you have no idea how much the agencies are taking. Usually it's between 50 to 80%. And you have like 50 agencies, if you can find that many, right? It's all backwards and crazy and under the table. And I mean, I did a whole expose you can find for the Korea Times about how foreign actors are mistreated on set and abused and used. I saw people die on set and they covered it up. I saw Samsung have faulty products. Like whenever they tried to release the Galaxy Watch, the very first watch before the Apple Watch, right? It didn't work, right? But we had to that was the hand model for that, and it didn't work, and so we had to pretend like it did. The first 360 camera that came out didn't work, and they used other cameras to film it, but made it look like it worked for commercials. Like it was really, really, really corrupt. And so next thing I knew, I mean, I caught a break. I played Magneto in X-Men: Days of Future Past. Michael Fassbender stand-in for a commercial, and I ignored all the abuses and everything. I just wanted to be famous. And so fast forward 7 years, and I was in over 130 movies, K-pop music videos. I performed in front of 50,000 people at a live concert as a dancer. I was in Billboard ads. I had the #1 kids show in all of South Korea. It was called Action English, so I was the main white guy for that. It was like Beastie Boys meets the Wiggles. So teaching English to kids, and it's still on TV today. It's been 9 years, and it's still on TV today. It's that successful. There's coloring books of me all over these kindergartens all across Korea, and so man, I was living the life, man. Like it was really good. Like the ego was going out of control. I had this like penthouse wraparound apartment where I would have parties, and I was living a very promiscuous lifestyle, right? And so I was just, it was booze, women, and movies, and that was my life. And
So once you got bigger like that, were there contracts or was it still just all just?
still no contracts. Nope.
Oh my God.
I signed one contract, and that was for the kids show. And that was it. That was the only contract I ever saw. It didn't matter if it was Samsung, LG, Kia. It was, yeah. And again, like we tried to form a union, but you can't do that in Korea. We tried every way we could. Yeah, I just wanted to be famous. I didn't care. I cared, but like the other option was not be famous, right? And so I was like, okay, I'll just put up with this. I can't beat the system, so I'm just going to be as famous as I can under the system.
Were Korean actors, was that
They
more
signed
regulated?
contracts.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. They signed contracts. Yeah. I asked them. They were like, yeah, we have contracts. You don't have contracts? No. They were like, oh, shit. And so there was about 30 foreign actors over there, okay, that were used in everything. About 30 of us, right? Guys and girls. About the same 15 guys, same 15 girls that you would see. I was definitely in the top 3. And so time marches on. I'm living a great life. And then I'm on a movie set. So I dated a girl, this Korean girl, and I broke up with her because I was like, what am I doing? I want to be with a lot of women. That's just who I was back then. And instead of cheating on her, I just broke up with her. And I just said I wanted to be single, and she didn't like that. So she texted me one day and she said, you ruined my life, so I'm going to ruin yours. And I didn't know what that meant. And some weeks go by, and I'm on a movie set with an actress from America. She's like a C-list actress. Her name's Jennifer Ellie. She was in the original Pride and Prejudice, Mission Impossible 3. You probably wouldn't actually recognize her, but they brought her over to be the main actress in this movie, and I was her right-hand man. And the scene was Interpol. We are the CIA. Interpol is coming in to intercept our intelligence, and I'm supposed to block the door to not let Interpol in. And so we did the scene like 5 times. And they yell, cut. And then my agent comes up to me and he says, the police are here. And I said, yeah, I know. I got to block the door. And he goes, no. The real police are here. Are you a drug dealer? I was like, what? And then out of the background of the production room comes 5 undercover police detectives, and they hold up, they instantly say, Ken? And I said, yes. They put handcuffs on me, tied me up in a rope, and then they held up a phone, an iPhone, that in English said, you're under arrest in South Korea for dealing drugs. And I thought it was a prank show. I've been pranked before for a show, right? So I thought this is maybe another prank, right? So I was looking for the camera. I was like, what's going on? And then it wasn't until they put me in the back of the van and started hitting me and yelling at me that I realized, oh my God, this is not a prank. And then I had major DPDR. Like I was derealization out the wazoo. Like I was pinching myself. Like, this can't be real. This can't be real. They took me to my hotel room and they raided my hotel room and they found no drugs. They knew where my hotel room was because apparently they were following me for weeks. And every day too. And then they drove me to my place where they knew where it was, which I didn't have officially registered. I was subletting from this rich guy so I could just have this place and not have my name on the record, because I didn't like how there's tax reasons for all that, right? I didn't have to pay certain taxes if I did that. This key money system I won't go into, but so they knew where I lived, which was like, how did you know where? Oh, you were following me. You've been following me for a while. They knew the code to get into my room, into my place. Put in the code, and there was my dog there, right, waiting for me, and he's all happy. But the police come in and they raided the whole place just like the movies, ripping out couch cushions, dumping out all the food and things from inside boxes, yelling at me, saying, where are they? Where are they? Where's the drugs? And I'm like, man, there's no drugs. That's the only thing I'm saying, right? And then I'm like, lawyer, lawyer, lawyer. And they say, no lawyer, no lawyer. Because in South Korea, my ex knew this because she's the one that planted the fake ordeal. She knew that foreigners, that they don't get a phone call and they don't get a lawyer. She knew that because there's Korean law and there's foreigner law. It's literally in their law. It says foreigners have this law and Koreans have this law. Foreigners are not allowed to protest. We're not allowed to make bad statements about Korean companies, like on their pages, like Yelp reviews and stuff. Like, it's just, it's so odd, man. And I knew that. I just never knew this was going to affect me. They couldn't find any drugs. They're getting more and more angry. This translator shows up, and she says, just tell them where the drugs are, and this will all go away. And I'm like, are you really a non-biased translator? Like, come on. This is getting out of control. And then they look at my dog, and they're so angry, and they said,
Stop it. Oh, no.
yeah.
What do they do to the dog?
We're going to keep you in jail, and who's here to take care of your dog? And I go, well, nobody's here. They go, we're going to keep you here in jail, and your dog's going to die because no one's here to take care of your dog. So we'll keep you in jail as long as it takes, even until your dog dies. And so, because I had a person stopping by my apartment while I was on set to take care of him just for that night, but he didn't know to take care of him a second day, right? Because I was coming home the next day. And since they took my phone from me, I had no way to contact him or anybody. So they basically said, confess where the drugs are or your dog's dead.
What did they say? What kind of drugs they were looking for?
Marijuana.
In Canada here, marijuana is legalized.
Yeah.
In Korea, it may as well be crack.
Yeah, right? It may as well be crack. Like, rapists get the same amount of time as drug dealers. It's super, super, super strict. It's the death penalty in China and other Asian countries. And so, to make matters worse, this is just divine timing, man. Like, a week before I got arrested, I was supposed to be the face of this dental company, this famous, like, you heard the song Oppa Gangnam Style, right? You heard that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gangnam is the richest area in all of Seoul, South Korea, okay? Like, it's the highest, richest area. And the number one dentist office in Gangnam wanted me to be the face to bring in more white tourists. And I had some crooked teeth, and I really wanted straight teeth. Tried Invisalign, and it didn't work. So they said, we'll give you veneers. I was like, okay. And it's going to be free. It's like, even better. So a week before, they shaved down 12 teeth. They did 12 root canals, and they placed on 12 crowns. Okay. Now, in dental practices in America, you don't do root canals to put on crowns or veneers. I do not know. I just trusted them. I don't know why they did that. Okay. And they put on these temporary crowns. Okay, you get to wear them for a week. They look terrible, but they're just until they can make the real ones and place them on later, right? So as I'm being arrested, I have these temporary crowns in there that are very soft. I'm biting into them because I'm so nervous. And when they're interrogating me in the room, one of the teeth falls out. And I spit it into my hand. And a detective looks at me and he says, "Oh, methamphetamine. Oh my God." Like, what else am I supposed to say? Because remember, I'm trying to be silent. I can't I remain silent, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so screwed. He thinks I'm oh my God. So they do more bad things than me. They're hitting me. They're tying me up more in a rope. They're pulling hair out of my head. Um, they put me into solitary confinement. They gave me really cold, old food. It was one stream of water that came out of the wall. That was my shower, and it was cold water. And this is during a cold month. This is like late November, early December. They had a window open to freeze me out. They didn't give me a blanket. I had one small pillow, sleeping on a floor in solitary, and freezing me. Anytime I would nod off and try to get some sleep, even though I was so nervous, could barely sleep, they bang on the bars and wake me up and yell at me. And so they were trying to break me, and it worked. It worked. The only right that I had was the U.S. Embassy. And U.S. Embassy shows up. 3 Korean girls that work at the embassy, and they said, "Listen, we're not lawyers. We can't give any legal advice." And I said, "Do I get a lawyer?" They're like, "Yeah, maybe. Maybe when your court date comes, it's not to be determined. We don't know." I go, "Maybe." Like, what the hell's going on? I go, can I contact anyone on the outside? And they said, "Well, do you have any numbers memorized? And maybe we can try to contact somebody for you." I go, "No, who has numbers memorized these days, right? Like, nobody does. I don't know anybody's number by heart. I just call that number." And so they go, "Well, we don't know what to do." And they said, "The only thing we can do is give you this." And they gave me this pamphlet, and it was front and back. It was like 2 pages, and it said what to do when arrested in South Korea. It basically said, confess something, or they will keep you here for up to 12 months until your court date. And that was the advice from the fucking embassy. So
Good God.
I was broken, man. I was scared. I had all this pain from the operation in my teeth. My dog's gonna die. Like, what do you do? What do you do? Like, what do you do, man? And so I was so scared. And I just said, "All right, I'm ready to confess." And I said, I took a THC gummy at a festival one time. And they were pissed. They were like, "Wait, you liar! We knew you liar," right? And they demanded to know, they said, "Do you have any drugs at the place?" I said, "No," because I didn't. And they said, who are the 5 people that you dealt drugs to? You have to give us 5 numbers, and we have to confirm that these are people that are in Korea. And I was like, okay, I just made up 5 names of people that I knew were in Korea, that were my friends, and were never going back. So I just gave them those 5 names. So when they look, you know what I mean? They look it up in the system, and they're like, okay, yeah, these guys really live here. They really are foreigners, but they're not in Korea anymore, so we can't investigate them, right? And I knew they were never going to go back to Korea ever again, so it wouldn't like ruin them. And then they went through my whole phone, went through every message. They took it, and then he looks at me and he says, "All right, you can leave." So he let me go. I rushed back. This is after like 3 or 4 days, something like that. There's no clocks in there, because I have no idea how long I was in there. I rushed back to my place, and there's my dog. He hasn't eaten or drank in 4 days. And so I gave him all the food and water. He's still alive, right? And then they brought me back in for more interrogation. They kept doing that. They put a ban on my passport so I couldn't flee the country, because I tried to flee the country. I was trying to hire a boat driver to privately take me over to Japan. It wasn't working. I was like, fuck. And so I had to wait for 4 months. In the meantime, those dentists put the final crowns on permanently, and they hurt like hell. They were ill-fitting, and I didn't find out until later. They were supposed to do braces first to realign the nubs and then put the crowns on. So I have these permanent crowns in my mouth that are causing 10 times the amount of inflammation that is needed. They were neurotoxic crowns that are banned in every other country, I found out later, shattering my nervous system. And I'm already anxious and nervous about going to prison for 7 years for something I didn't do. And I had to wait for my career's over. Everyone found out, and so nobody's hiring me anymore.
They were going to give you 7 years for having one gummy?
Yeah.
And having no proof of it.
Yeah, they had no proof. Yeah. So that's what you face. I was facing up to 7 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I got a letter in the mail 4 months later. I didn't know how long I was going to be waiting. I just knew my passport had been. And it said, charges are dropped. You're basically free to go. But get the hell out of the country, basically. I was like, oh, and I cried. I wept. I dropped at the mailbox and I wept. I was like, oh my God. I gave away all my belongings. I had a dope pad with everything I'd accumulated for 7 years, right? And I gave it all to this aspiring actor friend of mine. I basically gave him my whole place. It's like, you can just take the place, take everything. And I left with a suitcase and my dog. And when I left, I was interrogated more at the airport, at customs, which was a nightmare, like more interrogation. And then I finally made it out. I got back to America with my dog. And I went to go pull out money from my account because I didn't want to take $50,000 in my wallet or however much, right? Because that's what a drug dealer would do, right? And glad I didn't, because the customs agent searched my wallet and they searched my belongings to see how much cash I was trying to leave the country with. And I used my card to take out money, and all the funds were frozen completely.
How much was in there?
It was over $200,000, and that was all gone. And I called the bank, and they said, "Yeah, we have we can't really look into this, but for some reason there's a ban on your account, and the only note that it says is that you got to come in person to get your funds." I was like, come in person? Like, I got a message that same day from this guy who says he's my lawyer, and he says, "Hey, I represent you in this case. You actually still have a court date, and you got to come and apologize to the judge." That's the thing in their system, is like, you have to literally write a letter to the judge and apologize, right? And then you're good. I was like, no, I'm not going back to that. So I wasn't obviously going to go back. And so now I have $0.
Son of a bitch.
My whole life is over, man. Like, I had to move back to Kentucky in my parents' home into the baby room.
Are you sure this isn't a movie you were an actor in?
Man, seems like it, right? Like, what the hell? Like,
whoa.
Like, even still talking about it.
I've heard of vengeful girlfriends before, but oh, wow.
Yeah, she had, I'm very sympathetic to people with personality disorders, but it was very clear that she had borderline personality disorder, and which attachment is a very big one, and abandonment is probably the biggest one, right? Yeah, and breaking up with her, in her mind, felt like abandonment, which is equated to death, right? Psychologically. And so that's why she did that. Man, and I was in a hole, and I came back. I couldn't get a personal loan because I've been living abroad for 7 years. I didn't have any credit in the States, right? I come from a family that doesn't have a lot of money, so I couldn't borrow money from anybody. I didn't have any networks or connections over here. I couldn't even find a job because kids show actor doesn't translate to any jobs over here, right? Can't move to Hollywood.
So you got into politics.
Yeah, so that's what I should have done. I should have gotten into politics, right? When all else fails, you just choose a party and go all in. Maybe that actually would have been a bad idea, especially here in Kentucky.
Well, you got good teeth for it now.
Yeah. I know, right? Man, these are not real. I don't. This is a video broadcast too, right? So these are not real, right? But they look great, man. Like, man, I'm so happy. These are new ones.
Sorry, anyway.
No, it's good. It's good because these had to be replaced 4 years later because I went through 4 years of not knowing that they were banned neurotoxic crowns and affecting my whole nervous system. Just to give context, I was in a Korean dental support group from people that had botched Korean operations. One woman had one of the same material placed on one of her teeth, just a filling, and it drove her crazy. And she went to the mental hospital. She lost her relationship with her husband for months. It wasn't until that filling fell out that she snapped back too.
What?
She was like, "What was it? Oh my God, it was a filling." I had 4 times that amount on one tooth spread across 12 teeth. So I had 48 times whatever broke her brain going on inside of my system. So this is like, dude, this is what I was dealing with. Like suicidal ideations kicked in, right? So much physical agony and pain. And what am I going to do now? How am I going to rebuild my life? And imagine like that life that I was living, and then that's all gone too, like on top of everything. Like it was
It's like Schitt's Creek.
Schitt's Creek times a million, man. And I didn't know what to do. I was guessing. I was just, I had no money. How am I going to make money? Couldn't borrow money, couldn't get a loan. I didn't have a car.
So were you living with your parents?
Yeah. Yeah. I just took odds and ends jobs, a sales job here, right? Just really depressed, just like hated that. Just random odds and end jobs for about 4.5 years. Okay. And I got a job in corporate America for sales because I have media and entertainment background. So I got a job at a Fortune 500 company talking about AI software because I had a mathematics background. And so I started studying some AI mathematics and mixing that with sales. And so I started developing some skills and got a job there. And that saved me and helped me with I had my gallbladder removed. I had rhinoplastic surgery. Like these teeth just ruined my entire system. Like I was always in and out of the ER and emergency rooms and urgent care and bouncing around America, trying to find a new home in cities where I didn't know anybody because it was anywhere but Kentucky. It was, I can't stand Kentucky. And all alone going through all this. And eventually, so I'll pause right there because this is the point when everything changes for me. And I wanted to see if you had any questions or anything you wanted to comment before I continue on to the pivotal point of the second half of the podcast.
I don't think so. I'm captivated.
Okay. I'm glad you were. I could have used somebody like you back in the day, man. Like you got a good vibe about you. So eventually this is where it all changed was I was coming off of I was on over 75 different psychotropic medications. I was on SSNRIs, SSRIs, MAOIs, DNRIs.
All at the same time?
So I was on over 75 different kinds over the course of 4.5 years.
Oh.
Yeah, benzodiazepines, just everything. I was on I did ketamine infusion therapy. I tried esketamine. I tried everything, man. At one point, I had ordered to fix my brain. So I was so ungodly depressed. 10 out of 10, plus the teeth thing, all that. Like no money, and all went towards medical bills, so I couldn't have fun, right? And all alone, suffering through all this. Nobody has any idea what to do. And at one point, I had ordered something called cerebrolysin, which is like pig brain juice from the Ukraine that apparently can help rewire your neural networks. And I was injected that into my glutes. And that didn't work. I tried brain neurofeedback machines. Dude, I did everything. And
that magnetic tick, 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 tick.
Yeah,
thing?
I did the, what do they call it? TMS, transmagnetic cranial stimulation. I did that. Yeah. And nothing made me worse. So then one day my sister dies from the heroin overdose. And so I was just like so depressed. I called my friend Chris. And at this point, I'm atheist. I'm like antinatalist, atheist. Just if there is a God, he don't like me, or he's forsaken me. You know.
What year is this?
So this was 2023. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I was so depressed, and so I called my friend Chris, and I said, "Dude, what is this life thing? You're the most spiritual person that I know. You also know a lot about psychedelics. I want to try psychedelics to fix. That's the last thing I haven't tried to fix this brain." Okay. He goes, "All right, come up to Canada." I went to Canada, actually. I went over to Vancouver Island. And Vancouver Island in British Columbia, he lives in a town called Comox. It's kind of near Cumberland. So I flew in there, and we did a guided ceremony where I took MDMA and mushrooms from our mutual friend Rick. And they're both psychiatrists, or psychiatric nurses, okay? And so they're very loving people, some good friends, and they guided me. And yeah, it was incredible. I was blasted into what I call a spiritual check-in, and I was shown what life is. Let me ask you this: you ever done psychedelics?
I have, but not like I've done psilocybin when I was like partying and stuff.
Okay.
I felt good, and not like party good. Like I just like sitting there philosophizing with friends, like about everything from the heavens to micro things. Like you were just all part of it, and
The oneness,
it's
the
trippy,
unity
man.
of it all, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was on SSRIs at the time, and I was told that it's not good to do psychedelics while on SNRIs, or they don't have enough science to know
Yeah.
if it's good or bad. And
Well, you can't do psychedelics with MAOIs, but you can with SSRIs.
I was just reading this the other day, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
that psilocybin is generally safe with SNRIs.
Yeah, it is. It'll blunt the effects a little bit. You just got to take a little bit more, right? And same with MDMA. You just can't have MAOIs because that induces serotonin syndrome, almost guaranteed. Like you don't want that. Yeah, you definitely don't want that. Okay, so you know
But
the
you did
feeling.
do ketamine before, though.
I did ketamine. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that was actually my first psychedelic. You're right, because that was in a medical setting. So I guess that would have been my first. All that did was take me to the void, which is the scariest place I've ever been. So that actually increased my trauma. Now it works for a lot of people, so I'm not saying like don't do that, because I know there's like a lot of stories of how it helps people.
Hey, I gotta tell you, having a podcast isn't all that easy, especially in this day and age when trends and things are changing so quickly. I can't keep up with it, and honestly, I don't like doing it. I like the creating part. That's why I reached out to Carrie Hyman. She's the genius behind Your Voice Consulting. With more than 25 years of experience in communications and engagement, Carrie helps organizations connect with purpose and clarity. Known for her practical approach and steady leadership, she's built lasting relationships across industries and communities, guiding teams to communicate with confidence, empathy, and impact. And I can tell you, she is a long-term good friend of mine, and all of that is 100% true. So if you have an organization or a corporation of any kind, and you're spinning your tires, or you're needing some extra help, some advice, I'm telling you right now, go to yourvoiceconsulting.com and contact Carrie.
Introducing the timely children's book, Sometimes Daddy Cries. The visually stunning book is told through the eyes of a boy whose father suffers from depression. He sees his dad get sad, rest, and even go to the hospital, all while comparing his father's depression to a physical ailment. Sometimes Daddy Cries is getting rave reviews from parents and mental health professionals alike. One critic has stated, "This is a timely and important book that will help countless fathers and sons broach the subject of depression." An Amazon customer commented, "An excellent book to open up a conversation with a young child about depression in a parent. No big words, just a book about feelings." Sometimes Daddy Cries author Todd Rennebaum has personal experiences with anxiety, depression, and addiction. Sometimes Daddy Cries is available in hardcover and paperback on Amazon.ca and Amazon.com.
But one session, out of 6, it took me to the void, which was 100% black. Everyone, including God, family, trees, everything was gone, and I was in it's called a K-hole, and I was basically in the void. If an ant would have showed up, I would have been joyous to see it, just to see some other life form. I was so terrified in that void. It's the worst place I've ever been in my life. So that can happen, just so people know. So I have this guided ceremony with my friend Rick, okay, on his couch, and I get, you know the feeling when you took mushrooms, that feeling like, oh, things are shifting, what is going, you know that feeling, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe visually nothing's shifted yet, but you just that feeling like, oh my God. And that started happening, and then, and I am in the spirit world. I am in this realm that is unconditional love. So the MDMA filled me with unconditional love, which is what ecstasy does. And then the mushrooms, and it lowers your anxiety so that you don't potentially have a bad trip with the mushrooms, so you can, not trip bad. And then the mushrooms come in and blast me into the spirit realm. And up there, I saw billions of souls waiting to incarnate on planet Earth, anxiously awaiting, not really with anxiety, but like eager to do that. And I saw these lights of go incarnating, bam, bam, bam. And the ones that had finished their incarnation here were lifted back up into this field, this unified, connected field of unconditional love. And it was then that I had seen that what we are, like what all of this is. Like, we are humans. We're spirit living out an existence of God, not knowing God as God, through us, in order to fight entropy for the larger consciousness system, which is God, the absolute, right? Referred to expand and love. And we come down here because this is the hardest place to incarnate. And in the entire universe, galaxy, either one of the or the hardest place. And I saw just how much soul growth happens here. First of all, I saw what a soul is. Never seen that before.
No, you haven't?
Yeah, well,
I'm being sarcastic.
come on, man. I've seen it a dozen of times. I've seen it plenty of times.
You've never been?
You've been missing out, my friend. You were 38 years too late. I felt like that. I mean, but it was a spirit check-in, and I saw that, and I explain all this in my book, which I just
Here
finished.
we go.
Here comes the promo. You know what's interesting about writing a book is you don't make money from a book. You just don't. You don't make money from a book. I mean,
got one here. I don't make money from it.
Sometimes Daddy
it's a kid's
cries.
Book.
Is that what it says?
Yeah.
You do it as a labor of love.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you do it to help people. You pour your heart and soul into it, right? And you do it because you want it to get out to people. You hope that at least there's some people that do it. I mean, I spent weeks and weeks and weeks on this book. It's heavily researched off of not only what I saw on the psychedelics. That's a very, very small part, but also like what is this life? What have they been teaching in quantum physics? I eventually befriended dozens of modern day ascended masters, enlightened people, and what have they been saying? The people in the highest states of consciousness, what did they say about what life is and expansions of consciousness? And so I heavily researched all that and my personal experience into higher states, which came later, and I put it all into this book. That's a practical guide for people to release trauma, understand the meaning of life, dive into their purpose, and like practically, how do you do that? How, right? And so after that psychedelic experience, my friend, who's my spirit guide that's guiding me, in that world, I was shown my sister's world, my sister's spirit, the deceased sister, and I saw her soul expansion. Like down here, she was a heroin addict, right? But up there, it was like, oh my God, the amount of soul growth she got from trying to battle one of the hardest addictions known to man in one of the hardest places to incarnate in the entire universe. Only a badass, amongst Navy SEAL souls could possibly even think of taking that on. And that was shown to me. And then my deceased brother's spirit came and showed me that he was filled with happiness for love.
You have a brother you lost too?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Heroin as well, or?
No, his was accidental overdose on opiates. He was overprescribed opiates. So it's, like painkillers. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you, man.
I don't know if you know, I'm 9 years sober. I've gone through my own stuff.
What are you 9 years sober from? I'm curious.
Well, it's mostly alcohol and marijuana. Sometimes I partied with the psilocybin, but yeah. And I'm a suicide attempt survivor.
Oh man, me too. Oh wow. Oh, interesting. Oh man, this is great. I love meeting people like you.
And when you were talking about like being a scared child, like I was diagnosed with a stomach ulcer in grade 5 because I had such bad anxiety because I was fear.
Yes.
I was just a walking bundle of nerves.
Yeah. And what were you afraid of? I'm curious.
Pretty much everything you said. Yeah.
Yeah. Man.
Adults, kids, whatever.
Okay.
Fires. Yeah. Like I didn't grow up Catholic, but I remember like being at night, my stomach hurting because it was almost a little OCD actually. Cause it was like, oh, I didn't pray. No one ever taught me to pray. I was never a Catholic or anything, but it was like, I didn't say to the universe or whatever, like, please don't let my parents die in a fire tonight. Please don't like this, and if I forgot, I would like have to get up and do it. And like, because I was scared to death, I'd be walking down the street. Sorry, I'm from a very small town in Saskatchewan.
Okay.
And sometimes, you could walk 5 minutes, not see a soul.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe, what if I get home and it's like, my parents aren't there.
I used to
like
think
it's
that
just,
too.
It's like a Twilight Zone episode. It's like, what just happened? And like just crazy fucking thoughts.
That's exactly what I would think. Man, we're brothers from another mother, man. I would not be surprised if we were like in part of some spirit monad family from like we've met before in previous lives and shit. Like we are so similar. Wow. And I'll say this. This is the story, and I wrote about this in the book as well. This is the story of the many, again, modern day masters. They don't call themselves masters, but they're people that reach the highest states of consciousness. Okay. They walk among us, right? It's not just, the Yoganandas and the Nisargadatas and the Ramana Maharshis and the Jesus Christ and the Buddhas, like the famous ones. There's way more that are not famous, right? Because of course, right? Of course.
Dave from
Dave.
Denver.
Yeah, Dave at the diner it could be enlightened, right? He's just going about his day, right? And so one of the things that I found with all of them is that, so the way that it works is the whole purpose of everything is to your quality of consciousness whenever you die, right? Okay. And the quality of consciousness is basically the number one thing that matters, right? Because are you familiar with Dr. David Hawkins' scale?
I've heard of it. I don't know what it is.
Okay. Yeah. So he's from 0 to 1,000, with 0 being like Hitler, let's say, and 1,000 being Christ or Eckhart Tolle or whoever, right? And so there's levels of consciousness that you go through, right? And then through those levels of consciousness, there are some masters that can tell you where you are currently on it. Like they tell you you're 700, which is like in unity. There's like 800s. But most people are operating somewhere around a 200, right? Which I think is like somewhere in this neutrality, just above apathy. Okay. I don't have the list in front of me, but the way that it works is that when you die, if you die with an 800, you're an 800 as you die, and you reincarnate again, you're an 800 when you reincarnate. Right. So if you die as a 900, you come back as a 900. Right. And so the average lifetime, if lived well, is about 2 points. Okay. It's about 2 points in growth. If lived well and choosing more service to others instead of service to self, clearing out traumas and things like that, more love than fear, which is the number one thing in a love fear duality universe, is pursuing love more than fear. When you do that, you come back. And so when you were a kid, you're walking around afraid, just like I was, all of my mentors said the same thing. They were very displaced they were like very, very off from everybody else, like really off. And that's because most everybody else is operating like likely hundreds of points below on the Haka scale than you are. And you just can't connect with them on a resonance level. You just don't get it. That's because the whole point of the Maya, the great illusion, is to test us. Right. And you've had many, many more lifetimes where you have been tested and you've overcome those tests. You've played Mario enough that you know the tricks here and there. Right. It's just you had to restart over again as a new Mario in a new avatar in a new area. But you still hold all of those past life things that you remember, right? Innately in the seed inside of you. It's still buried there. Right. And so I was afraid and you were afraid and my mentors were afraid, very similar. Because they were like, what is all this? They don't get it because they haven't matured just enough yet to then snap back into the spiritual awakening. But deep down, the purpose is hell. But other people kind of like derping in life and just going through, and they don't really question it. And
ignorance is bliss, man.
Ignorance is bliss, man. And like, listen, I love NFL. I'll watch NFL, but like my life, you know what my life was like. I just described it to you. It was like just like women and like booze and like all that, right? And just covering it up. But when after that psilocybin, this is where I really want to jump into this. This part's super important, and probably the most important part of all of this is that I said to my friend, I said, "Man, what did I just see? I saw more than that, but I won't go into it." But he goes, "Welcome, my friend, to non-duality." And I was like, "What is non-duality?" Okay, and he starts to explain to me non-duality. Are you familiar with non-duality?
Again, I've heard of it, but I
heard of it. Yeah,
it's like it's one of those words that's just like babble to me. I'm like,
yeah. No, I get it. I didn't know anything about it either, and so he's explaining to me. Basically, non-duality means not two, right? Not many, not two. Everything is one. Unity.
It's like non-binary.
Non-binary. You get it. That's it. And so that is how the universe operates. Okay, it is non-binary. Only the ego mind places some sort of duality onto things, meaning, sad, right? All that, sad, angry. The list goes on and on and on, right? And so he's explained to me non-duality, how there's no dogma. It's not like, hey, come to my non-duality church, right? Like that's not how it works. It just is. Isness. Christ called it the I am. Before Abraham, I am, right? The Father and I are one. Christ was always speaking in non-dual terms. It was just corrupted for political and power gains and fear structures, right? It's basically the story of every major religion. When you get to the core teachings of all that, and I lay this out in the book as well, it's like you see the non-dual threads in all of it. Okay. So I'm like, oh my God, tell me more about this non-duality. He goes, I won't tell you anymore. You got to do a session with my friend Gareth. He is in Brahman consciousness. Okay. So just to kind of iterate, there are levels of consciousness. Okay. There is what they call,
the first floor.
The first floor. Yeah. So the first floor is, yeah. So the first floor is like every 99.99% of people walking around, I'm chasing pleasure and avoiding pain my whole life. Chasing pleasure, avoiding pain, chasing pleasure, avoiding pain, right? They might have some spiritual inklings, but they don't really get it, right? And then just like when you take mushrooms and consciousness goes, oh my God. Okay, that happens in meditation. And when you have consciousness shifts, which can lift you up to out of, that's called ignorance. It doesn't mean you're dumb. It just means you just don't know what's up. You just don't know what's up, okay? And then you go up to witnessing consciousness, which you are aware of the thoughts. You are aware of this underlying sense of feel that you are, the unborn, the never dying, the I amness. And then you can go up into samadhi, sahaja samadhi, and there's unity consciousness, and then ultimately Brahman consciousness, okay? Which is where you're...
Is that like enlightenment?
Yeah. So that would be Brahmin. I mean, even when you get to like 1,000 on the Hawkins scale, there seems to be like a 1,000, a 5,000, and a 10,000, right? Like there's a difference between Eckhart Tolle and say like Jesus Christ, right? And so there's levels to this game, okay? It's not condescending. It's just there's levels to it. And my friend says, there's a guy that's in Brahmin consciousness. He's this former bodybuilder in Ireland, and he does free Zoom meditations. He transmits his energy into you, and it expands your consciousness rapidly. And I said, I don't know, dude. I don't meditate. He goes, just do the free Zoom meditation. Let me know what you think. So I did. And at the beginning of the meditation, he says, back then he only had like 50 people. He's gotten more famous. He's got a famous podcast now. But he says, I'm going to spend 2 minutes on each of your screens, because there's like 30 people. And he goes, some of you will know when I'm on you. Just close your eyes, and I'll spend time transmitting my energy into each of you. So I'm like, whatever, dude. 5 minutes go by, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, nothing, all thoughts. And then 40 minutes in, this bright white light comes crashing into my system. My eyes are closed. My consciousness is doing that mushroom thing we talked about, like something's happening. And I had no thoughts, none. I couldn't even force a thought if I tried. And then 2.5 hours into my first time meditating, and an entity shows up. This benevolent, I guess, Arcturian alien. I don't know what it was. It plants 3 fingers into my brain, right, energetically. And I'm like, oh my God.
You got fingered.
That's what I told, dude. That's what I told Gareth. His name's Gareth. I said, dude, I tell everybody my spiritual awakening started by getting fingered by an alien. Right? Like, that's funny you say that. That's exactly, I got fingered by an alien. And I'm in this high state of consciousness temporarily. I'm just elated, blissed out. I remember who I was before, and this is the first bliss I felt in 8 years. Like, oh my God, whoever this guy is, he has the answer. So I pull up my laptop to book the retreat that he has, and there's 3 alien fingerprints on my laptop. And I put pictures of this in the book and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? The synchronicities are now kicking up. And so I go to his retreat, and I'm meditating in Ireland, silent meditations with him and all of these people who are either already enlightened or are in these higher states of consciousness I was telling you about, right? Samadhi consciousness, unity consciousness. And they're looking to go to Brahman. And they are...
So you actually went to Ireland?
I did. I flew all the way to Ireland like the next month with my friend that guided me on the ceremony. And when you're in a collective field of highly enlightened people, or people that are actually aspiring to that, and their only goal is to become unconditional love, they don't have... And they're not like... There's levels to the spiritual game. Like, there's a lot of spiritual people that are like, raise your vibration and love and light, but you can see the ego behind it all. They're like taking photos of their poses, their yoga poses, and they gotta look great, and you can still see the ego in a lot of what they're doing, right? And it's very off-putting, right? And I think that's why people hate this. They call it the woo-woo, right? And it gives a really bad rap to like actual spiritual progression. And so I'm around all these people who were wearing like jeans and t-shirts, normal people. They're nurses, school teachers, massage therapists, CEOs. They're just people that are very, very loving people, like truly in high states of consciousness. All of these different special abilities. One woman can read your thoughts, actually tell you what you're thinking. She was reading people's thoughts there, and they were like all amazed. She read my thoughts. There was another woman who could see the astral entities and eliminate them from the room. There's another man, just like Gareth, who can expand your consciousness. There's another woman who can. It's just I saw the special abilities of what they can do. Okay, and when you're in that collective field, and his energy specifically expands your consciousness extremely, extremely rapidly. He calls it's a Ferrari for spiritual awakening. And so on the 7th day of that retreat, I mean, my energy center is like chakras, right? And then my Kundalini awakens. I don't know if you know anything about the Kundalini.
Oh, you pervert.
Why do you say
Isn't that oral sex? Isn't that oral sex on a woman?
Oh, that's Kundalinus. Kundalinus. Oh, Kundalinus. Oh, I just got that connection.
Sorry.
I just got that connection. I never heard it. No, that's
Again,
right.
I've heard the term Kundalini, whatever it is. Again, I'm not really sure what it is, though.
I didn't know either. I thought it was an Italian dish. I want some mozzarella with the Kundalini, right? Like, and it is this divine energy inside of all of us. All of us have this. And when it awakens, the Shakti energy awakens, it starts at the base of the spine and it works its way up your chakra system, basically purifying your system until you're enlightened. But it is fucking brutal. It is unforgiving. You can't put the cat back in the bag. And it rips through everything inside of you. I mean, there's Kundalini psychosis, Kundalini syndrome. Like, people have experienced horrific side effects of Kundalini, especially if it spontaneously awakens. In tradition, for thousands of years, you had to be under the guidance of a guru, intentionally working on preparing your system and your body for it, right? Yep, nope, mine just woke up. And
so it's like taking the red pill, not the blue pill in the Matrix.
That's right. And you can't go back. That's exactly right. And so that woke up, and fast forward after the retreat, now suddenly I'm all in on meditation. Okay. I had to go on medical leave because the Kundalini was ruining me from my corporate job. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything but meditate. And so I was alone in Denver, Colorado. I had like 3 friends, but I was all alone. This is where things started to really get interesting. So one of the things I talk about in the book is transmissions as a way of healing. Okay. So depression and anxiety are all thought forms. They're all dense energies. You can't surgically remove them, right? And so talk therapy helps a lot. Okay, it does. And there's internal family systems, EMDR, they can really help. But ultimately, you still have suffering. You're still coping with life. Only the enlightened don't suffer. That's true. It's just true. And I have 24 friends who are enlightened, and they don't go around saying, "Hey, I'm enlightened," right? No, they just are. And they don't have any suffering. They feel pain, but they don't have the story. It's like in Buddhism, they say a man gets shot with 2 arrows. The first arrow is the pain. The second arrow is when the ego comes in and causes the suffering. And so they'll still feel pain, and they'll still feel even anger or things like that.
Resentment?
I don't know about resentment.
Suffering.
Yeah, if they do have resentment, it might arise, but it doesn't last. It never lasts with them. When you get into Brahman consciousness, it just can't. It's impossible to once you reach that level, because you had to shed all of your attachments to get to that point. Okay. And I documented the journeys of several of my friends from zero to their Brahman consciousness journeys, and I compared it. Okay, and how they did it and what their experiences were, as well as experiences of people throughout history. And I combined it all together. And so when you go through this process, I was going through it, and I didn't know this, but transmissions can, from high level people with what they call CDs, is a Sanskrit word for basically a power, an X-Men power. Gareth, the Irish guy, his CD was given to him to expand your consciousness. Eva, the woman he trained, who's now in Brahman, who's now one of my best friends, and she also has more powers than anybody I've ever known. She can go in and remove fear.
Don't break up with her.
Yeah, we don't need that happening again.
I love a good throwback.
Yeah, that not me, not for that one.
Right.
That's not a
Okay.
good one for
Sorry.
me. She can go in and she actually can read your thoughts and remove fears from you, right? So my first session I ever did with her, she doesn't even know my name. She goes, "What's your name?" I go, "Ken." And she goes, "Okay, so what do you want in this session?" I go, "I don't know." She goes, "Do you want me to remove some fears and tell you where traumas come from?" I go, "Yeah, sure." She doesn't know anything. She just knew my name was Ken. She goes, "Okay," closes her eyes. She goes into my system. Okay, and my energy centers go. My ears are ringing louder than anything. This is on a Zoom call. Okay, ringing louder than anything I've ever heard before. The energy centers are exploding, and I was about to have a panic attack. And she says, "Stay with it, stay with it. Hold on, hold on." And she goes, "All right. So you almost drowned when you were 12, about 12 years old. I see the boat. You're almost drowning. And now you're afraid of open water." I'm like, "Yeah, that's true." She goes, "In your mid-20s, you drank too much in some Asian country and you had alcohol poisoning and you thought you were going to die." I go, "Yeah, that's true." She goes, "And now I see in your mid-30s, you have a lot of pain in your mouth and you think it's going to kill you and it's driving you crazy and you have a lot of suffering that comes from that." I go, "Holy shit." None of this was posted online. Most of my friends don't even know this. And I forgot about the drowning incident, right? Like, how the hell? And this is the power I'm talking about. There are people that are walking planet Earth right now and throughout history who have these cities, these unique X-Men and X-Men powers, okay? And they can use it to heal people, literally remove. And so in that session, she's like taking traumas out of me, little by little. She can't just like go in, and it has happened before where she's gone in and removed the trauma completely for somebody, but layer by layer with her meditations and these other transmissions. I talk about this a lot in the book. Transmissions are the fastest way to get true healing, right? In addition to your therapy and your talk therapy and all that, but to actually take it out of your system, right? Energetically, transmissions are the fastest way to do it. You could sit in a cave and meditate for 20 to 30 years and release somatically, right? You can try that way. The fastest way, the modern day way of doing it, and I think the best way, is to go to these high level people and do it that way safely.
How much do they cost?
So that's the best part, is these people don't have egos, right? And so they're not like, they don't charge $5,000 for a date with destiny like Tony Robbins on the weekend. Like Gareth's retreat was only $600 for 7 days, right? Like he barely made any money. And they have free meditation.
American.
Yeah. I guess you're right. Yeah.
That's like 900 Canadian.
That's basically like, oh yeah, right. It's like 900 Canadian. Yeah. Still not that bad. And they have free meditations, which are powerful, which is the first one that had the alien show up for me and sent me into no thought land. They've got group ones that are like $30. And I kid you not, they even have subscriptions where you press the button subscribe. It's like $20 a month and you get their energies coming into your system. And I didn't believe that even well into my path until I had 5 people message me. And they're like, "Did you get Eva's subscription yet?" I'm like, "No, I didn't get it yet." 5 people told me it was really powerful. I hit subscribe and instantly, bing, I could feel the energy pouring into me. These people supersede space and time, okay? And you're talking to a former investigative news journalist who loves poking holes in things and finding what's wrong. I can't find anything wrong in here. Like, I've tested it.
I'm assuming you know that this sounds pretty far-fetched.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Very far-fetched. Yeah.
Like I'm gonna.
And
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Like, I wouldn't have believed this until it started happening to me. And I've sent many other people of my friends to these people, the Evas, the Gareths, the Shannons, all the ones I lay out in the book. I would say overwhelmingly, at least 75% of them have come back to me with, "Holy shit, what just happened?" And these are non-believers. These are people from different religions. These are corporate lawyers. These are CEOs. These are like, and they're like, "Wow, holy shit," right? And so one of my friends is a Fortune 500 corporate lawyer, no spiritual background. In one of our consultations that we had together, I told her about it. She goes, "I'll do the free meditation." She did it. She also had white light coming into her system. And now she's on the spiritual path and she's going to retreats. And she says, like, her consciousness is expanding. She's reaching states of bliss momentarily here and there. And she can see how the universe kind of operates now, right? And this is happening to a lot of my friends. And and lots of people all across the world. Like this kind of talk is really common out east. They're like, yeah, transmissions. Yeah, like, yeah, of course, But out here, it's like,
East as in like
India
Eastern, like,
and Asia, parts of Asia, right? But over here, it's like, that sounds bonkers. And so 6 weeks after that group minutes or the retreat, my Kundalini is going. I'm getting transmissions. I made the mistake of, I thought, wow, transmissions are the fastest way to enlightenment. So I'm just going to sign up with as many high-level transmissions that my friend Chris told me about, because he's tested dozens and dozens. He's like, these are the most enlightened people with the best transmissions. I was going to them, and again, you can get like one-on-one sessions. They're usually like $100, so it's, again, for the price, it's still really not that bad. And so I got the free meditations of all these people. Did dozens of them in like 3 weeks. You're not supposed to mix a whole bunch of them. You're not supposed to do that many. You're supposed to incorporate time for integration. I didn't know any of this, right? I just was like, oh, press that button as many times as you can. I'll be enlightened in a year. And I blew my circuits. And the day after I blew my circuits, something like really blew my circuits, I was pulled into this state that I said, I just got to sit down and meditate. And I had no other option. The moment I closed my eyes, I had this thought, everything is just energy. Everything is just energy. And then that consciousness shift happened, and oh my God, I was in samadhi consciousness. That's one of the highest states of consciousness that a person can reach. Monks spend decades trying to get there, most of them never getting there. And here I was, only 6 weeks into my awakening, and I'm in samadhi consciousness. I didn't know what samadhi was at that time. I didn't know what was happening. But it was like this energetic zipper went down the center of me, peeled away Ken, and the supreme self came forward. The higher self, right? Your soul. That came forward. That's what I became. Like words will never be able, just like words can't describe your mushroom trip. They say that, right? Like you just can't.
hmm.
And that's what near-death experience people say as well. Words will never, and this is, words can't describe what samadhi feels like, but I got 1,000 downloads a second pouring into my system. This is why your life happened. This is why the arrest happened in Korea. This is your connections in this lifetime and past lifetime to these people. It was like bam, 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 bam. Everything made 100% sense. And I was one infinite unified point of consciousness, pure, unadulterated awareness. I thought I was going to be there forever. I was rejoicing. I was like, all that suffering, all of that was to culminate to this. Like, I don't know. It's like I beat life. I don't know. It's like I figured it out. Oh my God, this is fucking fantastic. And then it went away. And I asked Gareth, I said, Gareth, why did it go away? He goes, describe it to me. And I said, he goes, oh, that was samadhi. He goes, yeah, these levels of consciousness on the Hawkins scale, you will experience them in brief pockets because the nervous system can't handle one big bam, here you go, usually. Because that would completely blow your circuit. So you'll get these pockets. Gareth told me about all the pockets that he went through, an hour here, 3 hours here, right? And it's very rare to have like one bam, like Eckhart Tolle did, right? He had his suicidal ideation and then bam, he just got blasted too. And I know many others that have as well, but that's still rare. It's more the pockets, right? And transmissions can help with that in meditation and in the studying of the teachings. And so I'm out of samadhi. Fast forward months. So I've been on this path for 2.5 years, and I've reached unity consciousness, which is you are literally everything. You're one with everything. There's no separation between you and I. I am Todd. Todd is me. I was one with everything. Unity is fantastic. And that's the step before Brahman consciousness. I was there for like 45 minutes twice. I hit samadhi 4 times. I reached witnessing consciousness several times. I've probably had about 4 or 5 dozen spiritual experiences, mystical experiences, union with God once, pure beingness. The Holy Spirit came pouring into me once. I had 3 closed-eye visions, like actual visions, divine visions. One of Christ, one of Mother Mary, and another one just of some dancing being at a Hindu temple in Indonesia. Like these are really happening. I know it sounds woo-woo, but it's all very real. And so what I'm trying to say ultimately is between my story and what I just described with my awakening is that awakening is a brutal process. It is. You got to look at your shit. You got to go in, look at it, release it, and address it. The traumas, the past lifetime scars, and the negative thought patterns. But when you actually look at it and you do it with proper guidance, with proper mentors, and you get transmissions and you read books like mine, you can do it safely and you can do it effectively, and you can inch your way to enlightenment faster now than ever before. It sounds, like you said, like not real. I get it. And some people are probably going to listen to this and say, whatever, man, like, I don't know, whatever. But the souls that are ready, those souls that incarnated again, right? And they were kind of higher level before, they had access to spiritual teachings like this in a previous lifetime and incarnated now. They're like, it's going to click for them. They're at least going to look into it. Maybe they don't buy my book. My book is meant to serve as it's called Enlightenment Express, a practical guide to deep healing and life's purpose, and rapid awakening, deep healing, and life's purpose. And it's the length of 2 books. It's like 600 pages long, because it took me a very long time to write. Because I mixed all of the teachings from 24 enlightened, modern day enlightened masters who befriended me. I was their mentee. I was their student. I've gotten many transmissions. I made a lot of mistakes. I've researched a ton. I was an investigative news reporter, a writer, right? And so I mixed all of that with the ancient teachings in the text. If you just had one book, hand it to somebody. This is the book to at least get you started. Maybe you go out and you get your first transmission because you read it. Or maybe you read my book and it's like that opens up something inside of you. And you're like, this is validating what I'm experiencing. And now you go out and you find your own guru, right? I list on my website, take10ken.com, all of the different people that I've gone to who helped me. So you don't have to go out and try to find them. I don't get some affiliate kickback deal or anything. They don't even know I'm doing this, right? I just put them there because it's like, I don't want people to be like, okay, I heard Ken say, go find these trans, but who are these people? Where can I find them? Right? Well, I've got some that I put on my site, so you don't have to go looking. These are really great ones. There's probably 10,000 more others out there. These are just the ones that I know, right? So my goal is to get you started, to get you to remove your suffering, whether it's energetically, through meditation, through transmissions, and your higher self. My God, when you feel your higher self, you become it. Or I get downloads from my higher self now, when your energy center is open, you can do that. You can start channeling your higher self, and you get answers to questions in life about what to do. It like dings you, like ding, 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 ding. You're like, oh, so it takes the guesswork out too of what you're supposed to do, your soul purpose, all of that. So if you're questioning, like, how do I find my soul purpose? What am I here for? What was my past life? All these questions, certain gurus can help you with that. And as you develop the most important guru, which is the guru within, to soon become not needing the outside gurus to help you. All the best gurus would say, we try to get you to the point to where you don't need us anymore. Unlike in therapy, which a lot of therapists are like, I hope you're with me for 20 years, right? I need those clients for 20 years. That's my point. That's what I'm trying to do, is get people started to this path of deep, lasting healing. From that antinatalist suicide attempt guy, I'm now sitting before you. I have reached great states of ease. I still struggle. Oh yeah, dude, I still have fears. I still got a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. But I am on the right path now, and I'm very confident in it, and I know what my soul's purpose is.
Thank you to today's guest, Ken Channa. Be sure to follow Ken on Instagram. You can find his link in this episode's show notes. And check out his book, Enlightenment Express, Practical Guide to Rapid Awakening, Deep Healing, and Life's Meaning. Please rate and review Bunny Hugs and Mental Health on Apple Podcasts or whatever app you are listening on. Please follow me on Instagram at Bunny Hugs Podcast and on Facebook, Bunny Hugs and Mental Health. If you enjoy the podcast and my guests, please go to buymeacoffee.com, and under Bunny Hugs Podcast, you can leave a one-time or a monthly tip. Any amount is extremely appreciated. You can find all my links in the show notes or at www.buymeacoffee.com. bunnyhugspodcast.com. Until next time, please remember to make your beds and take your meds.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.